blockchain technology enables transfer of value between any person and any other person in the world directly, just as the internet did for communication.
I'm a major believer that there is a role for Bitcoin in portfolios.
If stablecoins become a mode of currency that people want to embrace around the world, we will enable that on the Visa system.
The passage of the stablecoin legislation drafted by the Senate, dubbed the Genius Act.
Stripe now announcing a tender offer for employees and shareholders.
We made a large acquisition in the stablecoin space.
App discovery, messaging, payments, trading, of course.
I think ETH probably has a chance to outperform Bitcoin in the next 3 to 6 months.
Today, Ether treasury firm SharpLink Gaming plans to join the stock tokenization boom.
Web3 is really the natural evolution of the web protocols.
Hello and welcome everyone. US Foundry Session. This is it. This is the conversation that we're having with you, with the community all around the world. It's probably afternoon or evening in New York and midnight in Europe. So it's great to have you here and great to share some of the things, milestones, and progress that we've been looking to make, and we're now ready to share with you. What is the US Foundry Session? The US Foundry Session is a meeting where we forge direction, where we forge strength, where we open the dialogue to have debates, to reach consensus on some of the most important milestones that we want to get done in preparation for the new Genesis moment that we call Supernova. So it's really great to have you here and to have this conversation. The important point that we want to share today is that everything that we're doing here is done with one mission: to make EGLD grow, to make the multiverse ecosystem grow. And that's the conversation that we've been having for months and months, and you've been having. And it's a great moment to put all of this together, especially for the massive milestone that we have in front of us. So today we're going to discuss about the past, the present, and the future. What we've done, what we've achieved, where we are right now, and what's coming. What are the exciting steps in front of us? And so the important points to think about are the following. We're going to discuss about the progress that we have. We're going to discuss about the ways that we're going to make progress together, open dialogue around subjects like economics and the next milestones for the entire network. And we're going to see through that with this massive milestone that we call Supernova, we also couple very competitive economics that can drive growth, that can be productive, and can tie this new milestone to an ignition moment. So, starting with the first point, I think the rumors of our death have been greatly exaggerated. We've been making a lot of progress on many fronts, and I think the months that we've seen have been volatile, to say the least. But we strongly believe that we're now at a moment in time where a very significant macro trend is kicking in very strongly. And MultiversX and EGLD, with the entire product stack and ecosystem, are positioned to take make great use of this tailwind that is regulatory, that is coming with market structure, and that puts us with the milestone that we have at the frontier of everything that's happening. And so to drive this, we'll just take a look at some of the things that we've been doing, that we've set out to do maybe 6 or 12 months back, and then how that materialized, how it looks as we speak right now. So we've set out more than 5 years ago to build Elrond as the infrastructure for a high bandwidth, low latency financial system that essentially gives anyone, anywhere, easy access to this infrastructure. And we've made an enormous progress on the milestones that we've set out. If you think about it, just this year, we had 6 releases with more than 1 million lines of code and 90,000 engineering hours. Now, it's hard to make sense of these numbers, but I'll just restate. The 90,000 engineering hours are essentially 3,750 days. It's 125 months and 10 years. That is 10 years put together. It's almost a part of a life of one person. So this is the effort that has been put into the technology only this year to reach the massive milestone that we have in front of us. And for this, we're extraordinarily excited. Now, we've also set out more than 6 months ago, probably 9 months ago, a goal that will reach a kind of 500K investment a month, burn a month for everything that we're building. That was a kind of 75% cut at that point that we were doing, where we announced that we're to something like 50%, and now we've achieved the 75%. We're extremely proud of this, and this puts us in a great position to execute, to move forward with speed and with great intention. But even more important than this is that this is comparatively and competitively extremely well positioned against some of the other players in the space that are large and important. Perhaps the most important part, we've significantly over-delivered, not only on the operational side, but actually on the performance side. We've made a few very important releases this year, and one of which was Andromeda with one-shot finality that has improved the UX, has improved the architecture and so on very significantly. And with Supernova, we're at the frontier leading this global race. And so we've put the operations in place to make them lean, to make them super nimble, effective, and we've over-delivered on performance, releases, products, and all of that. Which means that generally we're at the point where we're 10x leaner than the top teams in the world and 10x faster in terms of technology, cutting edge, and frontier results that we have together. We're super proud of this and cannot share enough of how much effort and how much credit goes to the extraordinary engineering teams that we have and that we're pushing the frontiers with. Moving one step further, to almost double down on what we were mentioning 6 or 12 months ago, we were saying that we're planning to set some separate tracks for a few of the moonshot bets that we've been doing in the ecosystem. And we're very proud and very happy to announce that in the meantime, one of these moonshot bets, which is XMoney, has achieved a very important milestone, a massive milestone, not only for that company, but for the MultiversX ecosystem. What is it exactly? Well, it has secured 21.5 million in funding from the Sui Foundation, other partners and so on. But this is an enormous step for a few reasons. One, just funding. That operation is fully funded now. It has its own track, and it's on track to actually tap into the most lucrative and fastest growing industry in the financial sector in the financial space, which is the global stablecoin infrastructure space. This is extraordinarily important because now we're not just aiming for something, but this is done. This is delivered, and you've seen it announced. We're going to celebrate this even more. But there's an even further step on this track, which is a great validation for everything that we've built for years, especially with XMoney. This has been an extraordinarily difficult undertaking because of regulation, because of the necessary steps that need to happen, and the slowness of that type of, let's say, regulatory game. But we're at the point where this is finally starting to pay off very significantly. Third, MultiversX Foundation owns a majority stake in XMoney. And we're proud that we have that. But the great part is that XMoney, with the point it is right now at, is not stopping. This is just the starting point. There's many other funding rounds that will probably happen in the future, many other collaboration partnerships. And XMoney has been working on the business side, on the growth side, on a lot of really exciting milestones. So they'll probably share that themselves, and I'll let the team do that. Still, one other milestone is by far the most important for the MultiversX ecosystem. A stablecoin integration, typically with some of the large partners globally in the space, ranges between a price of maybe 10 million and something like 100 million. I will repeat that. One native stablecoin integration has the price of between 10 and 100 million, depending on who you're working with, depending on many other conditions and so on. Now, stop and think about it for a second. How valuable is it that XMoney is making progress, that XMoney has gotten the validation of the big players, that XMoney is tapping into other places of the world, other geographies, other ecosystems, has the validation, has the money, but now will be able to finally offer the native stablecoin for MultiversX that we've been looking for. This is a really great milestone, and it's massively bullish for the ecosystem, but it's also massively bullish for XMoney, because a stablecoin infrastructure needs to be connected with several large players, with several players that have deep pockets, and with several players that have growing ecosystems in several parts of the world. Why? Because the stablecoin infrastructure game is not a kind of inexpensive chip game. It is a game that requires hundreds of millions to be deployed to see this technology adopted. So again, we're super excited that this milestone is done, and it's a great milestone for XMoney with its own track, but a massive milestone for MultiversX, both because of the validation path, because of the upside that MultiversX Foundation stands to gain with this, but then also even more tangibly, just because of the stablecoin. If nothing else, if we only got this stablecoin, it would still be a great investment and improvement for the ecosystem. So moving one step further, maybe some alpha for everyone here that perhaps the X-Money team will share themselves at some point. I believe that during the next period, there will also be a listing for the new token. We'll be curious how things evolve, but it's safe to say that a lot of players, a lot of partners, a lot of people from the stablecoin space and from other ecosystems are looking at this. Now, I'm coming back to the point that I was mentioning before, that MultiversX is right now 10x leaner, 10x faster, and it stands in front of some of the biggest milestones since the founding of Elrond initially. One of these milestones is, of course, Supernova. And for Supernova, we prepared not only the speed, the operations, but we also have the treasury now, where MultiversX specifically has a treasury that consists, of course, of a portfolio mix. What does this mean? It means that there's cash at hand for operations, there's EGLD to tap into everything that we are going to see with growth during the next months and years, but there's also equities in the ecosystem Moonshots. And the equity is, for instance, in this example, a majority stake in X-Money. Now, what does this mean? We've initially said that we want to set the ground such that we build a treasury of $500 million to be able to attack the market in a very powerful way, to be able to route some money toward buybacks and so on. And you can now see that this is the first milestone. There's other milestones that we're building, but you can easily see how 2-3 funding rounds down the road, only the X-Money stake can exceed that type of valuation. Now, that is just, again, a starting point. This means that what the MultiversX Foundation has not only gives it the runway for the next 7-10 years, but it's also designed in a way that solves critical needs for the ecosystem, unlocks what we need for the ecosystem, and the foundation has the upside for the multi-billion-dollar industries that the moonshots are tapping into and tackling, such that the foundation can compound the value, and have the firepower to bring in EGLD buybacks in the future. So we're very happy with where we stand with this robust and lean structure. We're also very happy with the performance that we have, and extremely proud to see this massive milestone with X-Money that both solves something concretely for the ecosystem that was maybe one of the most important bottlenecks, but then also something that shows the path to significant upside for the ecosystem. So we're very much looking to the next steps of X-Money announcing things and sharing them, but then also seeing how this grows in many, many ways. Now, moving one step further, and you're going to see that I'm going to almost do a marathon today of going through the facts as fast as possible. As we come closer to a supernova, it's important to just note that the supernova is a star that essentially dies and then gets reborn in a completely new way again. And this is, in fact, what we're doing with Supernova. We are taking this and making it the biggest reset for the ecosystem, not only for the technology part, but then also for the economics part, for the business part, and making sure that this milestone that we're doing fulfills the initial vision that we set out to build, but it also takes things to the next level in terms of the business game that we need to play to make the ecosystem succeed in a big way. So what does this actually mean? Well, it means that for Supernova, we've been putting an insane amount of effort. What does that effort look like? Well, you can look at it like this, something like 80,000 lines of code, something like 10,000 hours invested, and then something like 1 year, 1 full year non-stop, without weekends, without nights and so on, just invested in this massive milestone. Why? Because Supernova is not an upgrade. For Supernova to become reality, someone like the brilliant engineers that we have dissected the entire architecture, decomposed it, cut a lot of the things that we had, and then reinvented everything to achieve a performance that is at the frontier, that is leading this way. And I believe that this is what MultiversX stands for. This is what our community, this is what our products really stand for. Leading the wave for where the world is right now, and tapping into the massive value that is created as we speak. Now, what does this mean for Supernova? It means that right now we're at something like 90%. An enormous amount of effort is done, and then we're almost at the last mile, where we need to be hyper-focused, where we need to almost pull in the resources in one direction and one direction only, and say no to everything else, because we want to get this across the finish line. And we're super happy because this is the most bullish event that you could have for the network. The network to be completely reinvented to reach unmatched performance. So the question is, if this is all happening, what does this mean for the community? What does this mean for the ecosystem and so on? And in some sense, we want this very much to be a new Genesis moment. And for those of you that have been with us for years now, you've been part of this very special and unique Genesis moment for Elrond, where we connected together in a way that no other ecosystem in the world connected with their community. We rallied together. We demonstrated that we could build some things that no one else could with the same resources, the same speed, and so on. And this is what we want Supernova to be. We want it to be this ignition moment where you see with new eyes everything that we've built, and we get it across the line together. And then it makes a massive impact in the market, in business, in everything that we're building, because we're resetting the game and pushing things to the next level. So what does it actually mean in practice? We're building this extraordinary technology, but what is it actually that gives us a use case that is very tangible and very concrete today, that people can think about and can reason, can understand, and can also apply evaluation to, that immediately gives you some intuition of how valuable this can become? Well, You can think about it as a kind of evolution of what we framed initially. We said we're building a high bandwidth, low latency infrastructure for a financial system that should be open to anyone, anywhere. In other words, you can use this blockchain architecture for many use cases, but having a focal point, having a North Star, gives you very concrete progress, very measurable progress, and focuses the entire conversation both internally and externally for the ecosystem on a thing that you want to conquer, that you want to champion. And one very, very significant, massive, probably the largest use case in the world right now is, of course, around the financial infrastructure, around financial assets and so on. And one simple way of framing what MultiversX essentially is that this is a fiber network for global finance. And the fiber network means that things move at a scale that's unprecedented with a speed that's unprecedented. And if this works, you essentially have finance on the internet in a way that is unparalleled and unmatched to what you currently have in the world. So there's also a few key aspects here, which are, we can look at this massive reset and reimagination of the architecture in a few very concrete ways. Performance, where we're essentially not only bringing a kind of 10x, 20x improvement compared to what we have, but we're planting this architecture at the frontier. That is massive. In addition to that, we know that users actually don't care only about the performance. They care how it translates into their UX. They care that when they use this technology for any type of application, they just click or tap a button and boom, that's done. The interaction is so instant that it feels magical. And we believe this is what Supernova will be for the ecosystem. Now, in addition to that, it's not only extremely important to have performance, to have user experience, but we want this to have impact. Impact in terms of business growth, impact in terms of EGLD growth, impact in terms of ecosystem positioning. And what this means is that every application that builds on MultiversX as an architecture will be able to tap into this new architecture and offer a completely unparalleled experience to their users, to their customers, to their businesses. And we believe that's extraordinary. This is what drives revenue on the network. This is what drives growth on the network. This is what instantly repositions the value of the network, the valuation, the growth of the EGLD currency because of the performance aspects that are being reinvented and brought to life with this massive upgrade. Of course, then it's growth that we want to see downstream of Supernova on key aspects, whether it's revenue, whether it's liquidity, whether it's just usage on the network. This is crucial. This is everything. It's almost that the biggest enemy for us is not, let's say, risking some things, doing some things. The biggest enemy is stagnation. And now is the moment in time where markets are waking up, where markets are understanding and repricing the entire value of this blockchain and crypto technologies. And it is also the time where we're going to attack the market in a very, very intentional way. So there's only one question that I'm hearing from the people in the community. When? We love this technology. When is it coming? And so it's always super hard to give time frames, especially for myself. I can actually confess that, but we're quite excited and very happy with the progress that we're seeing. And I believe that Santa will come a bit earlier this year. And we're going to have this massive Supernova launch sometime before Christmas. That's almost the best time frame that I can give, that points to the massive progress we're making, but then also puts this and anchors it in a way where we're going to rally with the entire team internally, but also with you, with the community, with the builders, the validators, the people that have been with us all around the world. And so the question is, how do we rekindle that Genesis moment? Well, it's not only the massive progress that we've been doing that we're super proud of, but there's also something else. Not only do we have the Supernova with a kind of tentative time frame anchored so that you can take it home and rally, but we're going to do something very special and crazy, which is a Battle of Nodes competition. The Battle of Nodes competition means that as soon as we have the network ready, as soon as all the pieces are in place, we've stress tested the network, things work, we're going to take it into the public and organize this great Battle of Nodes competition that everyone can participate into, that everyone can get a feel of the technology, test the limits of the technology, and see how this plays out to actually prepare the release for the grand sort of showcasing that we're going to do with the Genesis. So when does this start? Well, a few points. One, we're going to have a $100,000 prize pool for the people that are contributing, that are stress testing the network. We're going to have a leaderboard. We're going to have a lot of tracks that enable all the different key actors from the ecosystem to participate into this, to make their mark, make their contribution, to find maybe bugs, to discover the limitations of the network, but then also help us move it in the right direction, help us get it to the finish line. Because we're now nearing this almost last lap, every effort from you guys matters tremendously. And again, I remember very fondly the moments where we had some of the validators in the world just come in, throw some rocks at the network, try to take it down, try to find bugs, and that was the most important effort in preparation for the release. So we're counting on you that you come with great energy. We're counting on you that you come with brilliant technical minds that contribute to this release. But we're also counting on you that you'll take the time to create content. You'll take the time to share the story. You'll take the time to share this with other people in the ecosystem. And we're extremely excited because once you see how this works, once you see the speed and the performance compared to what we had before, not to mention what some of the other people are doing, it's actually extremely important to see this live and to give you a feel of how we're going to do this. So on the November 4th, we're going to share more information of how this plays out, what the rules are, how you can engage with it, and how we can make really great progress on getting Supernova across the line. With that, I think everything will get a reset in terms of ecosystem usage, progress, and so on. So extremely proud of this, and actually also extremely curious to see what you bring, what you discover, and how you actually contribute to this entire endeavor. So with that, I think there's one good way of looking at everything that we've built that we're going to showcase even more clearly with the Genesis. But I want to almost share a few early versions of what this value means, what it means to build the infrastructure, the pipes for this new type of financial system that works and functions at internet scale. And to take a look at this, I'll just take some of the nodes that we initially launched with and just update them a bit. You can see the MultiversX fiber network. You can see the EGLD reserve. You can see assets of different types, whether it's CBDCs and so on, whether it's stables, whether it's just tokens. Those are assets that will be launched and will exist and will be valued very differently than what people value today. This is the macro trend that we're seeing, where people are gradually understanding more the value of what is being built. And because they understand the value, they are looking at this entire space and valuing it very, very different. Now, on top of that, we're going to also have tokenized stocks. You can already see this happening. Actually, the NASDAQ and the entire capital market space in the US is gearing up to this point with great speed. And then on top, everything I've mentioned on the first 4 lines is almost the starting point. This is how the story unfolds and how this massive secular trend is unfolding as we speak. But if you look at the largest pool of assets in the world, there's so many asset classes there. And you just need to understand that every one of these asset classes is now gradually going to be tokenized. Now, what network is it happening into? What timing does it take? And what are the efforts to tap into that type of liquidity? That is the question. But this image, this overview, this insight gives you an idea of the infrastructure that is essentially being built, that is essentially here, that we've been putting together, that people can now tap into. With the Supernova release, this stack is ready for prime time, is ready to attack and tap the market and capture an enormous amount of value. And there's another version of this that's even more tangible, which is the global financial stack. If you look at this image, you can see a few things. You really need a big fiber network to accommodate speeds and movement of money at the speed of light. It's as simple as that. There's no way that you can work at internet scale without a technology that is like a fiber network for finance. And this is what MultiversX is, and this is what Supernova is. Now, on top of that, there are gradually more use cases, but the financial stack means that this is the kind of infrastructure and use case that you can think about, where on top of this, one of the biggest applications right now is global stablecoin infra. And that is something where, incidentally, interestingly enough, having and tapping into and attacking with the Moonshot that we call X Money. Now, what's a use case of global stablecoin infrastructure, you might say? It's payments, and it's enormous. In fact, that is a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. And then on top, guess what you have? Well, it's a wallet infrastructure that we have with Exportal. A wallet infrastructure that, as you think about it, one of the biggest use cases for the wallet infrastructure is essentially an exchange. This is where the biggest usage, this is where the biggest profits, biggest value is generated. And so you can look at this global financial stack and all of a sudden see something that this is not about the future. This is about what we're having right now. And everything we're doing is plugging this infrastructure pieces into the right market segments to attack the market in a way that maybe no other protocol, no other network can. Now, I was debating before the presentation whether I should call this image the $1 trillion financial stack or just the global financial stack. I'll let this with you, and then would be curious to hear actually how you'd call it. But I can say that these two images give you two different lenses. On the one hand, the entire economic infrastructure that we have, that we're putting in place, is here and is resting on EGLD and the application usage and utility that EGLD has across these fields, across these sectors. And then if we're looking even more concrete, today at the stack that we've built and created, it actually is extremely compelling. It actually is ready to tackle the market and bring in business and revenue in a way that very, very few players in the world can do. We just, up until this point, very recently, missed two big things. One is regulatory structure. And the US has provided regulatory structure and market structure, meaning that once you have regulatory structure, the funds, the investment vehicles, the institutionals and so on are ready to tap into this technology. This is what we built, and this is why we're massively bullish with Supernova and everything that's coming. Now, there's one big elephant in the room, and that is economics. We've had many conversations. We've had many different feedback rounds and so on. And we've thought a lot, how could we tackle economics as this massive challenge in a way that no one else has, that not only enables us to reach the best conclusion, but it enables us to reach this conclusion with you. It enables us to maybe hear some new ideas that we've never thought about, improve the ideas that we have, and at the end of the day, forge a rally that no other community has. Now, you've seen during the past few weeks that when we compete with some of the other ecosystems, we beat them really badly in terms of community because we have a community, because we have you. But two notes I will make here. One, not everyone that shares their thoughts is community. Community we call people that have a stake in what's being done, that have skin in the game, that are aligned. If people are not aligned, do not have any skin in the game, do not have a stake in the ecosystem, it's fine, they can have an opinion, but it's not that relevant. If people have a stake, if people have put skin in the game, if people are contributing and are aligned, then we can start a revolution together. And this is actually the intention with everything that we're doing related to economics. So the point with economics that we've taken is this. We've researched everything we could for the last 2 years to come with a solution that is not only compelling from a business standpoint, aligns with what we need in the market to compete and win, but then also opens up the conversation to achieve the milestone we want in a dialogue with you, the community. And so we've researched this for more than 2 years. Then secondly, we've created this group that is called the Council of the Wise. And these are the most brilliant, respected, and interesting builders and investors and so on from the ecosystem. Because these people have gone themselves in the water, have gone through the trials, the difficulties, and understand that at the end of the day, this is not a walk in the park. As much as we would want, this is something that you need to come with brilliant ideas, but then also refine them, have conversations around them, see if there's a way that you can improve them. And we've already had conversations with the builders. You've probably heard some rumors and so on. We've met with them. We've had a very, very productive conversation. And then lastly, we had some conversations with some of the top investors in the world, specifically what they care about, what they would want to see, how they think about these matters. Because at the end of the day, economics, if coupled correctly with Supernova, can create a rocket unlike any other, can give a momentum and an ignition moment to the entire ecosystem that we've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. So what does this mean? How will we do this in practice? Instead of coming up with a conclusion and saying, hey, this is the conclusion, take it or leave it, we're going to move forward with it. We've, of course, thought a lot of how we can actually share some of the best thoughts that we've gathered during the last 2 years, share a proposal and have a dialogue, have a debate, have different conversations that are meant not to lose sight of what we're trying to do, but are meant to surface the best ideas, the best improvements. And this very simple idea that at the end of the day, economics is this simple way of using scarce resources to power EGLD growth. That's what economics is. You have a game of scarce resources in the world that you need to direct here to achieve growth. It's not minimizing this, minimizing that. It's all about how you can unlock growth in a productive, effective, and super targeted way. And to do this, we're going to do this entire approach in an unprecedented way. We're going to start a very risky, open, public dialogue on the best ideas that we had, on a proposal. And then every day do some open public sessions where we hear the thoughts, we hear the perspective of several people, both from the team and from outside the team. And we then make some conclusions. We're not going to try to tackle everything all at once, but break the problem, frame the challenge, see what it is that we're trying to take out of it to get as an outcome, and then go and have this conversation. Now, some people will generally just tend to get very uncomfortable. Hey, why are we thinking about changing the economics? Why are we thinking about making these changes? Shouldn't this be a thing that you write in stone and then you never touch and change? With that, I agree, only if things work exceptionally. If we would have made progress so large that we're actually all on beaches, building our own towns in different parts of the world, then of course I would have agreed. Let's not change anything. Everything is brilliant as it is. But when things don't work as expected, you want to review them, you want to look at them very objectively, and you want to make progress. You want to learn from the world around you, see how it compares with some of the other alternatives, see what works, and then make changes. Because changes bring growth, because changes enable you to be competitive. Because with Supernova, we have the best technology in the world, but now with great economics, we can attract new resources in the ecosystem. So how are we going to do all this? we've set out a kind of unprecedented and never tried process that we're going to pioneer and demonstrate publicly. We're going to do public debates every day with a kind of very structured, open video conversation that happens in a sort of agora of ours, where we're hearing the proposal, we share some thoughts, some open ideas, and see what the best improvement could be to some ideas, so that in the evening we sort of reach a conclusion on the best ideas that we have. We do this for 1-2 weeks with the aim of having the dialogue, having the conversation, surfacing the best ideas of ours, of yours, and putting them together with the goal of making EGLD the best type of reserve currency and positioning it for very significant productive growth. After this process of conversations, we'll announce a formal governance proposal through which we sort of take this across the finish line and prepare things for Supernova to be coupled with the best type of economics that can work and have a productive effect on the ecosystem. This means that for the next 2 weeks, we'll have daily conversation to reach this massive economic milestone. So to prepare you for this, the most important questions are this. 1, how do we attract 10x, 100x liquidity within the ecosystem? How do we attract 10x investors? How do we attract and bootstrap and do 10x revenue, builders and usage? Third, how do we kickstart 10x, 100x EGLD growth? Because this growth is a function of the 2 other questions that I mentioned above. Last, how do we compete and win in the US? Because with the upgrade that we have in place, coupled with an economics model that really rocks, will be positioned to attack the market in a really competitive way. And the goal of the entire conversation we're having is EGLD growth. There's a very important statement here to be made where we ourselves are more invested today than anyone in the ecosystem. We ourselves have the highest risk, have the highest standing skin in the game to actually lose and suffer if this doesn't work. We feel the pain as you do, or even more. And I think this is what essentially grounds the conversation, where we're discussing as builders, as people, as community in the same boat that is aligned toward one goal, making EGLD grow. And the question, in addition to technology, the question in addition to economics is, how do we win in the US? What do we do? Suppose that we have the best technology in the world, and suppose that the economics is in place and it's super competitive. Well, that conversation has to do with what we'll call, and you'll hear several times mentioned during the next weeks, as demand side economics. Instead of focusing on how much is the supply, how is this felt, are we increasing or are we not increasing the supply, we'll focus on saying this is what we have from a supply side economics. But the most important thing in question is the demand side economics. In other words, do we have growth coming in from capital markets? Do we have growth coming in from institutionals? Do we have growth coming in from a use case that reaches product market fit? Do we have growth coming in from retail? If this comes in, it will eat the supply side every day. If this doesn't come in, then of course the supply side, you can sit with it, it doesn't really matter. And so the question for what does it mean to win in the US has 3 components. One, DATs, digital asset treasury deals. I'm sure you've heard about those. Second, ETFs, just means through which the institutionals tap into this ecosystem, and a use case that just accelerates demand, bootstraps, 10x, 100x demand. And those are three things that all have to do with demand side economics. Now, what is a DAT? And to do this, I'll just show you an overview.
Pantera announcing a $1.25 billion Solana treasury today through a partnership with Helios Medical Technologies and Summer Capital. It's part of this growing trend of digital asset treasury companies going public.
Crypto has become the infrastructure behind institutional finance. Behind the scenes, everyone was talking about digital asset treasuries, or DATs.
Digital asset treasuries have been a hot topic lately. In a recent report, Crypto.com examines the opportunities and risks that differentiate altcoin treasury strategies from their Bitcoin counterparts.
A record number of public companies are shoveling crypto onto their balance sheets, ostensibly to diversify their holdings, hedge against inflation, and attract new investors.
Treasury companies are effectively monetizing the capital appreciation of Bitcoin and using very sophisticated capital structure engineering.
Galaxy Digital, Multicoin Capital, and Jump Crypto were working on a multi-billion-dollar Solana-focused DAT.
And now that you got a sense of what a DAT is, let me move to the next point. What is an ETF?
We're looking at literally over 100 ETFs in the crypto world coming to market in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months.
Out of the 25 fastest growing ETFs this year, 14 were crypto related or adjacent. They're either Bitcoin ETFs or some derivation of MicroStrategy, a way to get the access.
The SEC announced a new rule approval last Wednesday afternoon, which will allow many more different cryptocurrencies to come to market more quickly in ETF form, which is great. We love adoption and variety.
Speaking of crypto, Nate, similar to the push to market we're seeing in IPOs, you're seeing a lot of what you call a boatload of crypto ETF filings.
Because right now, there are filings out there from multiple issuers for XRP ETFs, Solana ETFs, Cardano, HBAR.
I would suspect within the next 60 to 90 days, we'll have a dozen or so new crypto-oriented products tracking things like Solana or XRP or the coins that people don't know about that are below Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Bitcoin ETFs are the most successful product launch in history.
Now that you got a sense of DATs and ETFs, the point is to zoom out and to again restate what it is that we are actually building here. We're building the fiber network for finance. So this means that we want to plug this fiber network in the most significant, lucrative, and fastest growing market in the world, which is the US. It is only natural that doing so in the US will tap into these vehicles that you can almost see just as the upgrade of Supernova that we're bringing in and then performance increases. A DAT is a completely different financial module that we're plugging into the network through which we bring liquidity and tap into capital markets. An ETF is just a different module to tap into institutional markets. And this is how we attack the market and position what we have in a completely new competitive light. So I've covered a lot of ground today. We've looked at a few really important things. A few things to note and to have in mind are: one, for the economic side, we're just starting the conversation, and for the next 1-2 weeks, we'll have this intense conversations that go through the proposals, go through dialogue, and surface the best ideas that you have, that we have, in order to reach a great conclusion for EGLD and in order for EGLD to grow. That is what we want. Second, we're going to have the Battle of Nodes competition, most likely announced on the 4th of November, through which we take this great technology that we've built and we start testing the limits of the network. I want to see the best of our community in these leaderboards contributing and sharing some of their thoughts and insights, and I could not be more excited to see that. More than anything, I think Supernova is going to reset the game. And I'm very, very much looking forward to see this very bullish release sometime before Christmas. The point is that we've covered all this ground where we started from the standpoint of, hey, do we survive? Are we still alive? Are we still in place with everything to compete and win? And we've showed that not only are we 10x leaner and 10x faster, but we've also achieved a massive milestone with X Money that will bring great usage to the ecosystem, but will also uplift the treasury, giving the MultiversX Foundation a great edge in what's being built in one of the fastest growing, most lucrative markets in the world, which is global stablecoin infrastructure. Most important, we have Supernova. And Supernova, you've seen, has taken all the efforts that we could put into something to be this massive upgrade in terms of UX, in terms of impact, in terms of users, investors, and what people discover. And more than that, we want to couple Supernova with great economics that punch upwards, that put EGLD and this ecosystem in the spotlight again, that is deserved. So we want to make this happen, and we're going to do it with you during the next few weeks, so that then we can tap into the US market and win the US market. This is very concrete, a way of forging the path and making sure that we're winning. And I guess we've covered probably everything that we had for today, except I think there's maybe one more thing. And that is something about payments.
But a second my payment was told, that's the way we do it with a electronic gold. They try and gold out on the open road, shining like the sun where the big skies roll. It ain't silver, it ain't stone, it's a freedom I can hold. For the electronic gold. It ain't trying gold out on the open road, shining like the sunrise where the big skies roll. It ain't silver, it ain't stone, it's a freedom I can hold. I'm searching, I'm riding for that electronic gold. It ain't solid gold.
Now, what you've seen here are agentic payments demonstrated on the MultiversX network. We have a protocol for agentic payments that our devs and brilliant team have been cooking, playing with, that is already working, and that we're probably going to see a glimpse of fully, either before Genesis or most likely at Genesis, in a way that it showcases the world, what we can do. We do believe that robots and AI are going to be one of the biggest use cases for this fiber network for finance. This is why performance needs to be there. This is why scalability and speed need to be there. It's not only user experience for humans, but now we're looking at user experience for robots and AI. And we've just shown you a very funny, but indeed very serious use case that our team has been cooking. I really appreciate the time that you've been with us. We really, really, really appreciate the efforts, the months and years, and the support that you've put into this. And we're convinced that within this next few weeks, with the upgrades that we've prepared, with the proposals that we've prepared, and with your feedback and ideas, we can move mountains. And with Supernova, with this new Genesis, we can start the growth engine like never before. And there's no better way to plug a growth engine than plant it in the US and make it work. This is what we're doing, and we're doing it together. Very much looking forward to your thoughts and feedback and support. And I'm looking forward to seeing a conclusion for the economics part. I'm looking forward to the contributions to the battle of nodes, and then this massively bullish event that we call Supernova. Thank you, guys. And see you on the other side with the proposal and conversations.